Hey guys, Sav here, back with another Fractal Friday. On today's Fractal Friday, we'll be doing the Chaos Fractal. The Chaos Fractal is no longer the newest Fractal in the game; is now the second newest Fractal in the game. It was added a few months back with a Living World patch. I believe it was with the Bloodstood Fen Living World patch. Basically, Chaos Fractal is a mixture of all the fractals to this point, kind of all slapped together. As you can see here, it kind of looks a lot like Cliffside in the beginning. You can tell by listening to the sound effects and stuff that it's definitely not Cliffside. And if we hadn't killed those ads so fast, you would have seen it actually turn into the Etten and the Flame Legion Shaman from the uncategorized Fractal. This next part here kind of is reminiscent of uncategorized again, with some kind of cat golems and a little like jumping puzzle here. Some parties decide to some parties decide that it's just better and easier to skip this part, and it is. There's almost no point in fighting these cat golems. It's totally skippable. So the problem, though, however, is a lot of people can't do this jumping puzzle. It is different than the uncategorized jumping puzzle. It is a little more trickier. There's some tougher jumps. So just be aware of that. If this is your first time coming in here, you might want to kill the cat golems and just take your time and go slow. So the next part here, as you can kind of see the platform we're running on, is kind of reminiscent of the old Thermonova Reactor Anomaly platform. However, that platform has changed, so this platform no longer actually looks like that, but it is taken from the original Thermonova Reactor Anomaly platform. This platform, however, will not disappear like the platform from the Thermonova Reactor, so you don't have to worry about that. You start off with cat golems again. These cat golems should again be reminiscent of the uncategorized Fractal. They actually have names, but different names, but they look, the color scheme is exactly like the cat golems from the uncategorized Fractal. And then you actually fight the Anomaly. It's not quite the same. It's different in a lot of ways. It's like holding a weapon, and it has a lot of different mechanics. One of his main attacks is the Flux Bomb. As you can see, somebody just had it and it went off. It's also a new mislock instability, so you see the Flux Bomb a lot, in other Fractals, but it came from him. It also is a mechanic of the original Anomaly. However, it's a little different in that the Flux Bomb in the original Anomaly makes the platform underneath if you disappear, whereas this Flux Bomb just puts condies on you and lingers for a long time, so that if you step in it, it does damage to you. Also, every 25% it goes invulnerable and spawns kitty cat golems again, so you have to fight a bunch of kitty cat golems every 25%. The kitty cat golems will get progressively tankier every phase. He also has that beam attack that you're seeing right now on the screen. I don't know exactly who he's attacking there. Again, it's similar to the one from the Thermonova Reactor, except it's not, in the fact that that beam attack will make the person receiving the beam, the floor underneath them will disappear. I believe it just damages you here. I don't think it really does much else. This Anomaly compared to the other Anomaly from Thermonova Reactor is really kind of a joke. He's really, really easy. Really, the cat golems are the problem with this battle. The cat golems, like I said, get progressively tankier, and there will also be little mini cat golems that will spawn around the side, which I don't know if we've actually seen any, but they will actually just randomly, ping you and put random conditions on you. There's not much else really to say about this fight. This fight is rather long because of the kitty cat golems, but overall it's not a very difficult fight. So we'll talk a little bit more about the Fractal itself. I don't know if we'll get any shots of it or not, because I like to play kind of top down on my character. But around the sides a little bit, especially directly in front of me there, you can kind of see some of the Ascalonian Fractal used. I believe that's the wall around the main arena of the final fight of that Fractal. And then you'll see a lot of stuff like that in this Fractal. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss a lot of it. Anyway, let's talk about the instabilities for this particular Fractal. I'm doing scale 88 here. And the instabilities are Afflicted, Toxic Trail, and Misconvergence. It's actually kind of nice, Misconvergence here. It works well with this Fractal because kind of the whole Fractal in itself is a Misconvergence, if you will, because there's a lot of fractals all slapped together, so it's kind of misconvergence just kind of makes sense. So I don't have a problem with that one. Again, I always complain about Afflicted. I don't like Afflicted. It's where enemies apply random damaging conditions. And also Toxic Trail, mix them together. It works really well together. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like it. I don't like random conditions. I don't like random conditions. I might like random conditions a little bit more if they took confusion out of it. Confusion, especially if you're on a Zerker class, will just absolutely nuke you if you get, it'll give you like 5 stacks, and that's enough to kill you in like 3 auto attacks. So I don't like random conditions. I just feel like it's I don't want to say lazy, but it's kind of artificial difficulty in my opinion, especially with confusion being included. The other tier 4 option for Chaos Isles Fractal is 99, and the misstock instabilities for that are Misconvergence, Social Awkwardness, and Adrenaline Rush. Again, I don't feel like Adrenaline Rush does much. Adrenaline Rush is the one where I guess they get like the last 10% of their health. They get the enemies get like a more powerful, I guess. It's oftentimes very rare to even notice this, because especially if you're playing a bunch of Condi classes, the last 10% goes way quicker than the other 90%. So you don't hardly ever even notice the Adrenaline Rush. Misconvergence, again, it just makes sense for this Fractal. And Social Awkwardness, I think, is probably one of my favorites, just because it adds a little bit more challenge. I know a lot of people don't like it because it discourages stacking, but I don't mind Social Awkwardness too much, and that's 99, guys. So I recommend doing 99. This next part here will be very reminiscent of the Snowblind Fractal. It does have a little different component to it. As you can see, it also spawns Jade Maw tentacles. A lot of times parties will, 4 people in the party will shout out a number, or at least 3 people. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And those numbers represent the bonfires that you will come across along this path. Again, use your special action key just like in the remake of Snowblind to light the bonfires. You have to light all 4 bonfires to progress. So the skip is very similar to the Snowblind skip, and the actual bonfires themselves are similar to the Snowblind skip, but putting them both together and then throwing Jade Maw tentacles in there to smack you is what makes this a little different. And the reason why you kind of want to coordinate who's lighting which bonfire in this part is because you can only light 1 bonfire. One person can only light 1 bonfire, and there's 4 bonfires and only 5 people. So you want to make sure that each bonfire is taken care of, and you want to have, obviously, the 5th person as a backup person in case somebody like me wipes in this part. I got smacked by some tentacles. And this room here is the final part of the Fractal. Again, if you kind of look around, you'll see a lot of elements from other Fractals being used, like Volcanic over to the right there. The floor itself is reminiscent of the Aether Blade Fractal, the part with the light up floor that you have to shut off so that you can walk on it. If you don't shut it off, the purple part will shock you and actually insta-down you. Now this purple floor won't insta-down you, but it does do quite a lot of damage and does put stacks of confusion on you. So you definitely want to stay off of it. However, the mechanic to this fight, the main mechanic to this fight, this Char with the big ass sword, he will get a shield periodically, and in order for him to get that shield off, he has to walk onto, which you kind of saw it real quickly right there, he has to walk onto the purple floor. If he doesn't walk on the purple floor, you will not be able to do any damage to him while his shield is on. So you definitely want to make him walk on that whenever, by any means necessary. You will know if he's following you around because you'll get a little target over your head. That's how you know he's following you. And when he's following you, make sure that you're dragging him towards purple floor. There's his shield right now, so you can kind of look at it. It starts off going around the 4 corners, and then it becomes kind of random throughout the rest of the fight. There's like a pattern to each phase, but it's hard to know exactly which pattern is going to be. So just head for the clear areas whenever you can. At 50% of the fight, this Char dude gets another mechanic. He gets a like a whirlwind attack. He'll basically stop, and his giant AoE circle will form around him. And if you are in that AoE circle, you will get pulled into his attack and basically probably killed. The attack does a lot of damage. It's basically, like I said, it's like a whirlwind attack, and it will probably at least down you, if not basically insta-kill you. You can avoid this attack by dodging when the AoE circle reappears. Basically, it'll appear and then it'll disappear and then it'll appear again when he's actually doing the whirlwind attack. So when it appears the second time, you can dodge to avoid it. Or, better even, is to break his break bar. You'll get a break bar during the first AoE circle part. If you could break his break bar before he gets the attack off, then he won't do the attack, and then you can continue to DPS him as normal. That is the best way to go about it. However, for whatever reason, a lot of people just can't do that. They're afraid to get too close to him because they're afraid they'll get sucked in. There it is right now, this big AoE attack that I'm talking about. And we actually broke his bar, so you're not going to actually see the attack. It's the good thing with Necros is they have a lot of times now they run the Flesh Golem on their elite, and the Flesh Golem elite actual skill is to basically do a charge, which is a good CC. It breaks his bar. So here we actually get to see the attack. You see that I was able to just stand outside the AoE circle. That's probably, if you can't break his bar, that's where you want to be, is on the outside of his AoE circle. Or, like I said, you can try to dodge if you want to try to get up close to CC. A couple other mechanics from this fight. You'll I believe it was around 75% of his health from the Molten Furnace Fractal, the weapon test. The ground pounders will spawn in each of the 4 corners and start dropping down randomly. I don't know how often they do it. It seems random. And so you want to jump to avoid the shockwave if you can. You'll also see some mini kitty cat golems spawning around. Again, with the random conditions, these guys can ping you and put some random honeys on you. So you want to try to kill them if you can. However, I wouldn't focus them, especially if you're Necros. You just want to kind of use your epidemic and kill them with the epidemic. However, I know a lot of times in Zerker parties, they want to focus the golems down to prevent them from basically killing them, because they can do a lot of damage. As you can see, I was daring enough to stay in there and do the CC right up in his face, and we were able to get the CC done. If everybody's on the same page with the CCs, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. You can get up close to him, CC him, and you don't have to worry about the whirlwind attack. So I challenge you to be daring, and always remember you can dodge. So there's always that too. And that's pretty much all the mechanics for this fight, guys. It's not a super difficult fight. The Fractal itself isn't a super difficult Fractal. It's kind of a cool Fractal. It's a neat Fractal. Nightmare definitely took the difficulty bar up another notch. This might have taken up a slight notch just because of this battle. This battle is fairly difficult, especially in the first couple playthroughs before you really know all the mechanics. But once you know the mechanics, this fight becomes it becomes pretty easy. That's it for the video today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next Friday for another Fractal Friday.